Do you recall who were the first arriving units to the scene?
The first arriving units to the scene were myself, Engine 1, and Ambulance 51.
So would it be fair to say that you would be B10?
That is correct.
And do you recall where you were positioned at when you arrived?
Yes, we turned right onto Main Street from Barstow, and we ended up probably 50 to 100 feet from that intersection, and I would say southwest of that intersection on Main Street.
Do you recall any law enforcement attempting to clear the transportation routes?
At one point, I spoke with Sergeant Tokarski and asked him if he could assist me in opening up a route to get to the casualty collection point that we established.
Do you recall any loss of power in the downtown area?
Yes, I believe 1740, so 5:40 p.m., sometime around then. The entire, all the lights went out downtown. The downtown area lost power.
Do you recall receiving any information about what may have been the problem with the power?
Not at the time. However, later that evening, it was determined that a power line had gone down due to the high winds that evening.
So to the best of your knowledge, it wasn't due to the incident that you were responding to?
That is correct. I do not believe it was related.
Do you recall about what time you finally left the area?
I believe we cleared the scene about 6:40, 6:45 p.m.
Do you recall if it was already nightfall by that time that you responded?
Just to clarify, are you asking when we responded or when we left?
Roughly around the time you responded. Do you recall it being nighttime, dusk?
It was not dark outside yet. It was probably close to dusk. I mean, there was still light in the sky.
Definitely nighttime when you left the scene.
That is correct.
Did you receive any information about why you needed to respond so quickly to the scene?
I'm gonna have to ask you to clarify that. We were dispatched by our dispatcher to respond to an incident, and in my line of work, that usually means you respond very quickly.
No information was given why you needed to respond so quickly?
Our system is set up so that our calls are triaged and our response levels are triaged accordingly. And in this case, this would have been a priority 1 response or intermediate response with lights and siren.
So it's really just get the call and go?
That is correct.
So to your knowledge, you didn't yet have information about why you needed to respond, but you know it was something that needed to be responded to quickly?
That is correct. We were initially dispatched to an unknown incident, and then it was clarified en route, as I mentioned, when the alarm was upgraded, that it was a motor vehicle versus pedestrian incident.
Motor vehicle versus pedestrian incident. Have you ever responded to any calls like that before?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned something about a accident plan, or if I'm wrong, you can correct me, but was that what I heard? An accident plan?
Incident action plan.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What does that entail?
It's a plan that's put together usually prior to or during an event that describes how resources are going to be deployed to manage or handle the event.
So it's sort of like just having something in place in case of.
It goes a step further than that. It's a plan that's in place or implemented, for example, in this case, to control access to the downtown area, to identify who is responsible for what tasks, such as clearing vehicles or establishing parade route integrity, those kinds of things.
Outside of the parade incident, to your knowledge, was there any more needed responses to any other incidents that may have been in the area?
While we were on scene at the parade, I believe that we received 2 other calls for service in the city.
To your knowledge, do you recall if they were directly related?
I do not.
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Very briefly. On cross-examination, there was reference made to a casualty collection point. Can you describe what that is?
So a casualty collection point is something that's established when there's a mass casualty incident or a large number of casualties or people injured. The goal of it is to get people to a centralized point where they can receive treatment and triage or determining the severity of their injuries so that they can be transported directly from that area. It is the most efficient way to handle a mass casualty.
That's not something that you would set up in a routine pedestrian versus motor vehicle incident. Is that correct?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. He may answer.
That is not something that we would normally set up in a pedestrian versus motor vehicle accident.
Can we put Exhibit 1 back up on the screen, please?
Go ahead.
I'm still taking my notes. I don't know if you guys can see it. I am still getting these notes going. My battery is low.
Could you circle
Don't
for
judge
us
my battery.
on the screen in front of you where the casualty collection point was set up here?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled. He may answer.
That is supposed to be the intersection of Clinton and Main.
Okay. And from there, where were the injured people transported to?
From that point, they were taken to 5 area hospitals.
Okay. So not just Waukesha Memorial.
That is correct.
Waukesha Memorial is just up the hill off the side of this map. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. What other hospitals, if you recall?
Aurora Summit, Frederick Menominee Falls, Children's Hospital, and Frederick Hospital.
And aside from ambulances involved with your department and the other responding agencies, do you know how else victims were transported from the scene?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. He may answer. It's not hearsay.
Numerous patients were transported up by law enforcement, bystanders in the parade, and family members.
On cross-examination, in reference to this being a motor vehicle versus pedestrian incident, you were asked whether you'd ever responded to a call like that before, and you said, yes, sir. Do you remember that testimony?
Yes.
So I'd ask a clarifying question. Have you ever been involved in or directed a response to a motor vehicle versus pedestrian incident of this magnitude before in your career?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
I have not.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Yeah, he was a great witness. He was really, really nice. Like, he was definitely the nicest witness they've had up there in terms of how they interact with Darrell.
Witness list. I'd ask that he be excused from the subpoena.
You may.
Thank you.
Your next witness.
Say we call Nicole White.
All right.
Nicole White. Please, this might be the, let me see. Before I say something that just is completely wrong.
Good afternoon, Ms. White. If you would please make your way to the witness stand. It is on my right, all the way to the back or front of the courtroom, as the case may be. And if you would, when you get there, come up a riser, raise your right hand, and my clerk Teresa will swear you in.
I believe this is the mother of one of the victims, which is really messed up.
The testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, ma'am. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Nicole White, NICOLEWHITE.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. This is going to be bad.
Ma'am, I'm going to direct your attention
gonna
to
be heavy.
November 21st of last year. Were you at the City Waukesha Parade?
I was.
And were you a participant or were you a spectator?
I was walking with the Remax group.
Okay. So did Remax have a float in the parade?
Yeah, there was a van.
Okay. Is there anything unusual about the
Oh, she was participating.
the van?
Okay. All right.
It had like a fire projector off the back of the top of the van with like a basket.
How did it come about that you were
think
walking
it's cool.
with the Remax group?
My friend's mom was with the Remax group and had asked us to join and walk with them.
Approximately how many people were walking with you that day?
I would have to guess and say maybe like 12.
Were a lot of those people you had known from your friends, your relationship with your friend?
Yeah, probably about half of them.
Okay. And what was the general, do you remember the weather that day? It was in November, I'm assuming cold?
Yeah, it was gray. I mean, sweatshirt and jeans weather.
Had you walked in the parade before?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Had you ever been a spectator at the City Waukesha Parade?
No.
So I'm going to show you a clip, and it's kind of at the beginning of the parade. It's Exhibit 142. I'm going to have it displayed on the screen in front of you, and I'm just going to ask you, we'll play a couple seconds of that if it's okay, and just let me know when it's displayed on your screen.
That's messed up. That was her first
Before you know it?
experience
Okay.
at a
So I'm
Waukesha
just gonna play it
parade,
for a
and this
couple
happened.
seconds, okay? Okay. Do you recognize that video clip?
I've never seen this before, no.
Does that show, though, however, the van that was in front of you that you were marching with on the parade on November 21st of last year?
Yes.
Let me play a couple more seconds and you can tell me if you see yourself behind the van, all right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this accurately reflect what you recall of this section of the parade, which it looks like it's at the beginning of the parade in terms of who you were with and what the float looked like?
Yes.
Okay. I'd ask that the court admit this into evidence and display it, publish it to the jury.
Objection. Witness just stated she doesn't recall the clip.
The witness has answered questions that establish the foundation for this. And based on that, the court is going to receive Exhibit 142 and permission to publish is granted.
So wait one moment, I'm just gonna have it play through so the jury can see it, okay? Okay, if you can play.
I remember that from the last video. Or not the last one, I can't even remember how long ago. But that thing was cool. That had me like mesmerized when I was looking at the video. Completely forgot about everything that
Can
happened.
you pause it for a moment? Do you see yourself in this this section that's been paused?
Yes.
There's a touch screen. The screen in front of you actually will react to your finger. Can you circle where you are in this frame? Okay. And if we can clear that off, I just wanted to let the jury know kind of who they were looking at. If we can play it the rest of the way, it was paused at 21 seconds. It's a total clip of 33 seconds. Thank you. Did you have a formation, or exactly what was the purpose of the people walking behind the van?
There were other people that were passing out candy along the way at certain points. I was mainly just taking pictures as we went.
Okay. And was that part of your duty, is to kind of take pictures of the whole environment, what was around you, and kind of your perspective from walking in the parade?
Yeah, part of one of my friends from the group, her younger son was in the basket of the Remax van, so I was taking pictures of him and the other younger boy.
Did there come a time when you, in the parade route, that you started hearing something unusual going on behind you?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever hear anything that caused you to look back?
No.
So what do you remember about, at some point, were you struck?
Yeah, that's the first point that I knew that anything was happening, was when I was hit. There wasn't any commotion or noise until right at that moment.
Okay. So can you tell the jury what you recall of that moment?
Oh man, this is the first. Is this the first victim that's well, no, some of the officers testified that they were struck by the vehicle too, but this is like the first parade goer, I think, that we've seen, where they're now testifying about their experience, like being a victim. Oh man, this is, y'all tell me it gets heavier as it goes on.
Being struck by the vehicle from behind, like on my back, and then I fell to my knees and kind of like rolled under the vehicle, and like when after it happened, I guess like I didn't really know, like I thought that like somebody would have stopped after that point, and when I looked up, I just remember the vehicle like continued.
Do you recall anything about the vehicle, like a vehicle description, what color it was?
It was like a red SUV.
And when you said that the vehicle, you thought it would have stopped, did you see the vehicle stop?
No,
Did you see any brake lights on the vehicle?
not that I can recall.
The objection is noted, it's overruled. Will you restate your answer, please?
No,
And I should have maybe clarified, did you see any brake lights activated after, when you looked up from being hit?
no.
Now, where were you in relationship to the float when the car struck you? Were you immediately behind the float? Do you recall?
I was probably like a couple of yards back from the float, but I was behind the Remax van, yes.
So would it be fair to say that you were more in the middle of the road versus on the left or the right side of the road?
Yes.
And when you looked up after being struck, did you see the path that the car took, or the SUV?
It veered to the left side of the van that was in front of me.
And then did you see where it went after that?
It just continued, but I couldn't, like the van, well, I couldn't see anything beyond that, no.
I hate that he gets to cross-examine her.
As you saw the car after it struck you, so what you're saying, I just want to make sure I've got this right, is prior to the vehicle striking you, you never looked back before it struck you.
Correct.
So you didn't know what hit you at the time that you were struck.
Correct.
And when it went past you, how fast was it going? And I'm not really talking about how many miles per hour, but was it at a slow speed, a medium speed? How would you describe it for the jury?
Hearsay.
Overruled. Go ahead and answer.
I mean, I would guess probably like, maybe like 20 miles an hour.
And I'm assuming that you drive a car daily
Yes, ma'am.
and you've been driving for 10 years, more than 10 years?
More than 10
Okay.
years, yes.
Thank you. Did you ever hear a horn coming from the car prior to you being struck?
No.
Did you hear a horn coming from the car, or a horn noise coming from the car after you were struck?
No.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 15. I'll again be on the screen. And it's, would you generally characterize this, and it can be displayed, it's already been admitted into evidence.
Yes, permission to publish. Once again, is granted.
Generally speaking, do you recognize this as the parade route? If you look in the upper right part of the screen, there's like a purple line that kind of goes down White Rock Avenue, takes a right, and it goes down Main Street. Does that look familiar?
Yes.
And that would be the route of the parade that day?
Yes.
And direct your attention to approximately shortly after Main and Barstow. There's a star, a yellow star, and then if you connect that line to the yellow star, it says your name and Remax Services. Do you see that?
Yes.
Would it help if we zoomed in, or you can see it from there?
I can see it.
Okay. Why don't we zoom in a little bit so maybe the jury can see it? I don't know how familiar you are with Waukesha,
I
but the
can't
roads are
see
kind
it.
of a little crazy.
No, I see.
And would that accurately reflect where you were struck?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. After you were struck, what did you observe of the parade route?
I mean, it was very chaotic. There was people at that point that began like running and screaming to either help others or flee from the area. There was like a group that like came to me and like helped me over to like the side of the road.
Were you able to walk?
No, my knee was injured, so.
What did you do once, or what happened after you got to the side of the road?
Initially, the people that came to me helped me sit in a chair on the side of the road, and then eventually, moments later, they moved us into the building that was right there, which was the Smart Asset Realty.
And that's also in the area, I think it's reflected on Exhibit 15, that would be in the area of where you were struck.
That's correct, yes.
What did you do once you got into the Smart Asset Realty building?
I mean, there was several other people that were in there as well. And I sat there and waited. There was a nurse or someone that had like some medical experience that kind of like looked at me, and then I waited until later on when I was there was a police officer that came back and escorted me to the hospital.
So the police officer transported you to the hospital?
Correct.
Was that Waukesha Memorial Hospital?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 20. And I'm going to ask you, it'll just be in front of you initially. I'm going to show you a couple seconds of that and ask you if that's, if you recognize what's contained in that video. It is a 3-second video, so I'll actually show the whole thing to you before we ask that it be admitted and published. So why don't you take a moment to view that? Is it on the screen in front of you?
Yes.
Okay. Did you recognize that video?
No, I had not seen that before.
Do you recognize, though, what took place in that video?
Yes.
Can you describe to the jury what you just saw?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
Brown.
It's not hearsay.
It was a video of the events that took place that day where I was struck by the vehicle.
I would ask the court to admit this exhibit into evidence and also to allow the state to publish it.
This might be like the heaviest testimony yet. I don't know.
Mr. Brooks, anything?
Objection.
The objection is noted, it's overruled. Exhibit 20 is received, permission to publish is granted.
Now, before we start the video,
It's this one, and there was another woman that was there too, and she said like she was there with her boyfriend, I think, and his daughter, and like the chaos erupted, and she was panicking, trying to figure out where her boyfriend's daughter was. That was a tough one too.
do you recognize the white van that's depicted, I'd say, in the upper third of the screen?
Yeah, that is the Remax van.
And do you see approximately where you are on this frame?
Yes.
And can you, I don't know if you can do it with the video, but if you can just circle it, or circle you. Okay.
Well, the top of.
Yeah. Can we clear that? I think you circled a couple people. There's one, and I think before you circled yourself, you were wearing a red sweatshirt right there. Okay, thank you. If you can clear the screen. And let's take a look at the video. Thank you.
Objection, we just looked at the video.
Overruled.
And did that accurately depict the car hitting you from behind and then rolling over your legs?
Oh my God, bro.
What injuries did you suffer as a result of this, generally speaking?
2 torn ligaments in my right knee, and then to my spine, like my lower spine. 2 vertebrae were like compressed, and then my tailbone.
And those were all the results of being struck?
Correct.
Thank you. Nothing further. Thank you.
Any cross, Mr. Brooks?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold on, before we get into the clown show that is this cross-examination, I just want to say, this is absolute true strength right here. Like, she's sitting up and answering these questions, and they just showed her a video of herself being struck with the car, and she's still answering the questions and everything. Like, this is crazy. And now she's gonna get cross-examined by the dude that did it. Like, this is wild, man. I can't even believe, like, he's allowed to do this, you know? But better not say good
You
morning.
stated that
Yeah, he knew better.
when you were struck from behind, you didn't hear or see the vehicle approach. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And you estimated this Did you estimate the speed, or do you recall how fast the vehicle may have been going
When it hit me, no, I was not able to see that.
when it passed you?
They had asked me when it passed me afterwards what I would estimate it to have been. And I said, if I had to guess, it was probably around 20 miles an hour afterwards.
Would it be fair to say from the videos that we just saw that the vehicle wasn't traveling fast?
Your Honor, I'm just going to, for the record,
Grounds.
just clarify that the video is showing at 50% speed.
Grounds? Wow.
I didn't know that initially, I guess.
Nobody knew that.
Can you play it at full speed then, please? And then he can ask the question.
Sir.
Go ahead, your question, sir.
And you said that you would estimate the vehicle was going around 20 miles per hour?
Correct.
And how would you come to that estimation?
I guess I'm not sure how you want me to answer that question.
What's
And,
the
and
basis for you saying 20 miles per hour?
based on previous experience with vehicles, traffic.
So would it be fair to say you don't know for sure how fast the vehicle was traveling?
There's no way for me to say for sure how fast the vehicle was going. I was not driving it.
You stated that you fell to the ground.
He asked the dumbest
Yeah, you
questions
did,
on earth.
Yes.
Did you at any point get a description of the driver of the vehicle?
No.
Were you able to make out if anyone was in the vehicle besides the driver?
No.
She got struck.
Did you get a
from
license
behind.
plate number?
No.
Did you file a claim in this matter?
Here we go with this bull crap.
There was a police report filed, yes.
Do you remember the name of the officer that you filed the report with?
No, I do not. It was an FBI agent.
Do you recall the date that you were interviewed or that you made the report?
November 21st.
Would that be with the FBI agent as you just stated or with local law enforcement?
The FBI.
I know it's kind of far, but can you see this paper that I'm holding?
Dear God, what is he
Yeah.
gonna ask?
Is that your handwriting?
How can she tell from
See it that close, just say you can't.
I can't read it from here.
With the document camera we can put up?
I was preparing myself. I thought he was gonna ask something way crazier. But this is true strength right here. You see how this one, like, this is nuts. She's making sure he gets locked away. This is true strength, because I don't even know if I would be able to do this, in all honesty. Like, I don't even think I could. definitely wouldn't be answering questions for him. I would tell him something different, but
Apparently it takes about 2 minutes to project it.
I'm not sure what this document is, though. This might be the report that she filed.
Yeah, just to verify, this will just be previewed for the witness. It doesn't have personal identifying information on it.
Okay.
I would somewhat object to that, Your Honor. This is a public trial. We have to remember that.
Your objection's noted.
Oh, it's upside down, okay.
He wants her public information to be shown.
Move it up a little bit. Well, can you see that?
It's not in front of her
Oh,
yet, so
I'm
we do
sorry.
that. We just wanted to make sure we could get it working.
I'm sorry.
Should be there momentarily.
I apologize.
You wouldn't know. There you go. It's up.
Is that your handwriting on this document?
Yes,
And you stated that you gave a report to the FBI on November the 21st. Is that correct?
that is correct.
Is it correct that this date here says 12/29 of 21?
That's not what this form is.
What would this form be?
That was a form that was filled out as a follow-up based on my experience at the parade. I spoke with someone in person on the 21st.
Do you know who provided you with this form that we're looking at?
I believe it was through the Victims Witness program. I don't recall correct, no. It was emailed to me, I believe.
So would it be fair to say then that the report you filed was with Officer Wagner?
You talking about this report or previously?
The report of being struck
On the 21st of November?
on the 21st of November.
Do you know the name of the individual you spoke with on the 21st?
Not offhand, no.
Do you recall stating in the report that you filed on November 21st that you saw a red SUV go to the left of the float and then to the right in front?
I don't believe, that's what I recall is what I had stated earlier, was that I saw it veer to the left of the float. From there, I wouldn't have been able to see.
Would it be fair to say that, reading from the report that you gave on November the 21st, that it says that you saw a red SUV go to the left of the float and then to the right in front?
I don't have the report, so
Would you like to see it? I agree.
Mr. Brooks, do you want to show her the report? Then you need to put it on the document camera. Preview it again. Oh, God.
Your Honor, that is not the report. I believe that may have been notes that were with the report that went to Mr. Brooks. That is not the report.
Looks to be a summary of what she may have provided to another officer, FBI agent, but not the report itself. So in light of that, she's not going to be questioned on that unless that helps refresh her recollection.
Does it?
Look at it, it's in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Does that in any way help refresh your recollection about what you may have told an investigator in this
The
case?
judge has to clarify his questions because there's
On the
so
21st, sorry.
Yeah, I believe what
all over the place.
this was a year ago, but I believe what I said was that I witnessed it continue to drive, veer to the left to avoid the van that was in front of me, and then continue driving without stopping.
And just so the record is clear, because it was being used, I think, to refresh her recollection. After she reviewed it, I turned off the camera. So it's not in front of her at the moment.
What do you?
And it's being given back to you. Go ahead, ask your next question.
I have the actual report too, if that may help. Would it be fair to say that you testified that you don't recall hearing anything or seeing anything before you were struck, correct?
Correct.
And now this is reading from the report, page 1.
I guess the proper foundation for Mr. Brooks to use would be if reviewing a report would refresh her recollection, and then based upon her answer, he would go from there.
Well, you could also just directly ask the question, since it's on cross-exam. Isn't it true that you said X to the investigator?
You have
You
to
need
coach him.
Quote directly then from the
I intend to.
report. Go ahead, ask your question.
Quote right from here. Is it true that you said when you were walking, well, it says White explained when she was walking, she heard screaming, and as she looked around, she was hit by the red SUV. Does that refresh or help you recall anything that happened on November 21st?
No,
Do you recall saying that?
I do not recall those exact words, no.
And now he's going to be stuck on this point asking questions about it for the next, like,
Do you recall
10
saying
minutes.
that when this is all it's explaining like in the third person, I'm assuming, it says White, as she lay on the ground, White stated she observed the red SUV go to the left of the float and then to the right in front of the float.
Again,
It's been asked and answered. He's going to be stuck on this, so
as I previously
just get
stated,
ready for that.
I observed the van go towards the left, the vehicle go towards the left of the van, at which point there was no indication that it was stopping or anything, and that it continued from there. I could not see what happened beyond it going to the left of the van because the van was in front of me blocking my view.
There you go.
It also says White stated the vehicle appeared to be traveling extremely fast and it did not slow down or even brake. But you just said that you couldn't see the vehicle once it veered around the van. Is that fair to say?
As it veered to the left of the van, it did appear to be moving fast, yes.
Would it be fair to say that the video footage doesn't show that?
Objection, that mischaracterizes the video footage, as the
Grounds.
video was cut off shortly after striking Miss White.
You're making an argument, which is something you can do later, so I'll sustain the objection as to the form of the question.
It goes on to say, White did not observe the driver of the SUV and could only describe the SUV as red, and it appeared to be a lower rise, in quotation marks, SUV, and maybe a Traverse. Do you recall saying that?
I said it was a similar size to a Traverse.
What is a Traverse?
Objections are relevant.
Well,
It's
Grounds.
not relevant.
overruled, she may answer and explain why she said what she did.
Because in my opinion, it's a lower sitting SUV or vehicle versus like some of the higher, some of them sit up higher and are bigger in size. It was more of a mid-size, lower to the ground SUV in my opinion. Similar to a Traverse.
Do you recall saying that, and I'm reading from the report again, White stated that she was treated and released at Waukesha Memorial Hospital and sustained bruising, scars, and road rash on her body and a knee injury to her right leg. White stated that she did not have a broken leg, but may have a torn MCL. Do you recall reporting that?
Yes.
So would it be fair to say, and I'm asking this because you said may have a torn MCL, would it be fair to say that at that time you were not sure of the full extent of your injury?
Yes.
About how long were you treated at Waukesha Memorial Hospital?
A few hours.
Just 1 second. And did you file a claim in this matter? Any type of claim?
Yes.
What was that claim?
There were
Just the report.
claims that were filed with the state of Wisconsin that were to cover like the cost of the medical treatment that was received.
So the state of Wisconsin offered to
Here we
pay
go.
your medical expenses.
It was through the Victim Witness Protection Program.
So would you consider yourself a party to this matter then?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained, not relevant. Excuse me.
And in the claim that you filed, did you file a claim under an injured party?
Objection. I guess I'm not
Grounds.
understanding the question. It's vague.
Grounds.
This is so messed up, man.
She indicated she filed a claim because she was injured.
So
Mr. Mr. Brooks, I'm sustaining the objection as to the form of the question. Please rephrase.
Do you consider yourself an injured party?
Yes.
Are you a plaintiff in this matter? Grounds.
She's a witness. Sustained.
Have you read or seen the complaint in this matter at any time?
Objection is to relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. She may answer.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Have you seen or read the complaint?
No, I don't know what complaint is being referred to. No.
This man knows how to agitate every single witness. The only one that really didn't get agitated
Were
like
you
that
aware
was
that you may be called to
the
testify in this
firefighter.
matter?
Yes.
He is the most agitated.
And who were you informed by?
The victim witness program and the prosecutors.
So are you saying the state of Wisconsin?
Objection is to relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained.
Man, can we get a 90611?
Please move on to another line of
Thank you.
questioning.
Look, I know some of y'all said in the comments I need to get more psyched up for his cross exams, but this is not the one. Not this cross exam. They need to let this poor woman out of here because this is messed up.
At the moment that you were struck, did you observe anyone else struck at that time?
No.
So it'd be fair to say that you were, to your knowledge, at that time, you were the only one that you knew that was struck.
Yes, to my knowledge. At
Would
that
it be-
time.
Would it be fair to say that there were numerous people in the general area that you were at that time?
Yes.
At that time, did you learn about anybody that was struck at the point in time that you were struck?
At the time that I was hit, no.
And you stated that you didn't see any brake lights?
Correct.
You were able to see that from the ground position?
Correct.
From your opinion, did it appear to you that the vehicle was attempting to strike anyone?
Objection calls for speculation.
Grounds?
The way he asked, it, did it appear? If you know, you may answer.
It appeared it was traveling in the direction where it could have struck other people, yes.
But to the best of your knowledge, you didn't know for sure?
That's correct.
No further questions.
Redirect.
Just briefly. Ma'am, after receiving medical attention at Waukesha Memorial Hospital, did you receive any other medical attention following November 21st, 2021?
Objection irrelevant.
Overruled. She may answer.
And directing your attention back to the video, it was Exhibit 20, the one that was
Irrelevant.
the overhead video. Do you recall seeing that video today?
Objection. She never answered the first question.
She said yes.
I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't hear it.
It was a little quiet, but I heard it.
Do you recall seeing Exhibit 20, which was an overhead video of you being struck?
Today, yes.
Yes. And was that the same red SUV depicted in that video as what you saw after you were struck?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Man, if I could give a round of applause for her right now, I would. I got people sleeping around me, so I can't do it. But that was
She may.
incredible. The fact that she was able to do that and answer questions for this
You
dude.
may call your next witness.
The state calls Sarah Waymeyer Aparicio.
Why is he
Madam
acting like
Clerk, we
he's
also
emotional from
worked
this
on
right now?
getting the rear table switched as the input. Thank you.
You see that? He was doing like this and then like
I'm sorry,
wiping
what's her name
tears
again?
or something like that.
Waymeyer.
Thank you.
But yeah, some of you in the comments are telling me I need to get more psyched up for this, for the cross exams, and I'm trying to. It's just that one. That one was way too intense right
Okay.
there. Like, you could tell he put her through some things that like I know I couldn't imagine. But I know
Good
it was
afternoon, Ms.
very
Waymire
stressful.
Aparicio. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is up a riser to my right. When you get there, please remain standing, raise your right hand, and my clerk Teresa will swear you in.
All right. Time for the next witness.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do.
Thank you, ma'am. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names and spell each for the record.
All right, my first name is Sarah, S-A-R-A-H. My last names are Waymeyer, W-E-H-M-E-I-E-R, and Aparicio, A-P-A-R-I-C-I-O.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Ma'am, can you tell us where you work?
I work for the school district of Waukesha.
What was your job title during the 2021-2022 academic year?
I was the director of bands at Waukesha South High School.
What kind of things do you do as the band director at South?
Organize all sorts of events, whether it's concerts or marching band performing in the parades.
How long did you hold that position?
Okay.
I held the position on and off over the years for 10 years.
As the band director at Waukesha South, how frequently did you interact with the kids who were members of the band?
On a daily basis.
Okay. And
Was the band? I remember it was a section where it was like a lot of people that would hit. I can't remember. And this is why I'm starting to take notes, by the way. It was one section where it was a lot of people that got hit. And I think it might have been the band. I'm sure they're going to put up the map again and then like I'll be able to see it. And then I'm going to notate it this time. But
and did you know the name of all the kids that
yeah,
were
we'll see in a second.
in your marching band during that school year?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Did the band march in the 2021 Waukesha Christmas Parade?
Yes, we did.
Were you there with them?
Yes, I was.
Had you done that in the past?
Yes, I had.
About how many times?
Every year that I was there, we did that parade as well as Memorial Day.
Would you describe it as an event that the kids look forward to?
Absolutely.
When the band marches, are they in formation?
They are.
What about uniforms? Do they have any?
We do have uniforms, yes.
Okay. When you march in formation, is this something that you practice with the band?
We do. We practice with the students that are in the marching band portion of the parade. We had also done another parade in the Dells that year, so we had practiced with that. For the students that are not in marching band, we had practiced during class time for several weeks leading up to it.
How does the formation of the marching band get set up?
So we practice during class, and then we kind of have the general structure of what it will look like, and then student leaders within the section place the students in their places the day of the parade.
So they have a little leeway, but you don't want bass drums marching next to clarinets?
Correct, exactly. So we say these two rows will be flutes, so senior leaders help decide which flutes are in those located, or those specified places.
Okay. I'm going to ask that we project Exhibit 21 onto the screen for the witness and the defendant.
Permission granted.
Just let me know when you see a picture in front of you.
Okay. It is here, yep.
Okay, what are we looking at with Exhibit 21? Can you tell us what this is?
So this is an aerial view of our marching band. You can see the names of the students that are identified. Those were all students that were physically impacted by the car that day.
November 21st of 2021,
Correct.
the Waukesha Christmas Parade.
Correct.
Have you reviewed this photograph and the information contained in it before your testimony today?
Yes, I have.
Does it accurately represent the formation of the kids in your band on that day?
It does, yes.
I move Exhibit 21 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any position?
The object.
Exhibit 21 has received permission to publish as
It's a lazy objection.
And can we zoom in on that a little bit? There we go. Can you walk us through from left to right, just identifying, I know that we can all read, but just for the record, can you read those names for us and then also tell us what instrument each of those kids is playing?
All right, so first we have Aiden Lofgren on bass drum, Connor Tank on crash cymbals, Justin Gogson on sousaphone, Eric Teeks, trombone, Tyler Pudliner on tenor sax, still on the exterior, Harry Gofoy on trumpet, then Eleanor Anders on mellophone, Theo Mazza on trumpet, Marit Gilchrist on alto sax, and Sasha Catalan on clarinet.
What's a mellophone?
A mellophone is a marching version of a French horn.
What about a sousaphone?
A marching version of a tuba.
Have you ever seen the Ohio State Marching Band perform?
I have, yes.
I'll withdraw the question.
Could
So-
be the Badgers.
There are 10 members of your band identified in this photograph, is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Could we please project for the witness only Exhibit 15? Do you see something on your screen in front of you?
There's a map on the screen.
Are you familiar with downtown Waukesha?
I am, yes.
Okay. Do you recognize what we're looking at in this map?
I do, yes.
Okay. Exhibit 15 was previously received and published. I'd ask to publish again.
Permission granted.
Could we zoom in, Ms. Gussie, on the intersection? There we go. Yep. All right. Do you see a yellow star between Barstow and Gasper Streets on Main Street?
Yes.
And do you see the line connecting that yellow star to a box with some green background and some names
I do.
under the banner of Waukesha South Band?
Correct, yes.
Take a moment, take as much time as you need, read through those names in that list. Let me know when you're done.
Oh, it took me so long to see this. I'm like looking all over this area. I see them right here. So yeah, they did have a lot of people that got struck.
Okay.
Are the names on that list identical to the names that you previously told us about in Exhibit 21, that photograph of the aerial view?
Yes.
Overruled. She may answer. I believe she did answer, and her answer may stand. The jury will hear that. All right, thank you.
Can you tell us what happened while your band was marching between Barstow and approaching Gasper Street on Main Street on November 21st of 2021?
So I was towards the front of the band. That tends to be where I typically am because if you can imagine a typical parade, there's a lot of stopping and starting as the band is going through the streets. And so I am in connection with our drum majors. Those are the student leaders who have the whistles that give the students the command when they should be forward marching and when we should be marching in place. So I'm helping look ahead to see what's coming down the road while the students are busy playing their instruments. The streets had just narrowed as we got into that point, and there was a lot of enthusiasm in the crowd, and I could feel the energy from the students. And all of a sudden I heard something going on, so I turned around, and at first I thought there was an emergency vehicle or something. I could tell there was some sort of a vehicle trying to get through. And then I started just seeing things flying in the air, and I realized this was not a vehicle waiting for people to move out of the way. I realized this vehicle was running over people. The students around me, we all kind of dispersed at the same time. I thought in the initial moments that it was an accident, but then as I turned and the car went immediately past me, and I could see that the driver was staring straight ahead and knew that, you know, could have clearly seen that they were running over people.
What happened next?
My first impact was to run after the car for a moment, and then I realized, because I watched them run over the people in front of me as well, and then I turned around and I saw my students all laying on the street and screaming. A police officer immediately, what felt like at the time, immediately came running, shots fired. And so my students who weren't injured were all dispersed, and I was trying to, at the same time, watch over my students in the street, but keep an eye on where the other students who were going so that I could make sure they were all safe as well. But I stayed in the streets so that we didn't know where the shots fired were coming from, so I wanted to make sure that those students in the street were safe as well.
And just to clarify, you mentioned that you heard from a police officer that shots had been fired?
Correct.
You yourself, with the trained ear of a band director, didn't hear any gunshots?
I did not hear gunshots, no.
Okay. I'm going to ask that we project on the screen for the witness only, exhibit number 24, please.
Permission granted.
And can we make sure we're playing this at normal speed? And we're going to turn the volume off while we identify, so we'll leave it off there. I'm just going to play a few seconds without any volume, and then I'll stop and I'll ask you a question, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we've stopped at about 5 seconds into the video. Do you recognize this video?
Yes, that is our band performing.
And I'm not sure how familiar you are with downtown, but do you know the businesses that your band is in front of right now?
We're by Davino Gelato and Martha Merrill's.
Okay.
And then the Alo Chocolate and everything is on the other side as well as an apartment building.
Okay. Have you reviewed this video before your testimony today?
Yes, I have.
Does it accurately depict what happened to your band the
Yes, it
afternoon of the
does.
parade? Move exhibit 24 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any position, Mr. Brooks?
Objection. If the witness has seen this video before, how would that corroborate with the testimony?
Your objection is noted, it's overruled. Exhibit 24 is received, permission to publish is granted.
That makes no sense.
We are going to play
His
this
objection made no
entirely
sense at all.
through. It's 30 seconds long. We're going to play it once with the audio at normal speed. Go ahead.
Man, just hearing this is pure chaos.
All right, let's pull it up again and set the speed to 50%. And turn the audio off. And we're going to play to a certain point, and then I'll say pause, and then I'll ask you some questions when we pause, okay?
Objection. What is the relevancy of playing it at slower speed?
Your objection's noted, it's overruled, permission granted.
So they can see it better. If it's
Go ahead,
slowed
play.
down, they can get a better visual of what's going on. They can get a better look, I mean.
Pause. We've paused at 11 seconds. From viewing the video up to this 11-second point, can you tell us who in your band was struck by that SUV so far?
So far, that would have been Aiden, Connor, Justin, Eric, and Tyler. I believe at that point, perhaps also Harry.
And let's resume at the 11-second mark, please. Pause. We've paused at 16 seconds. Would it be fair to say that the remaining students we've been talking about today were struck after that point?
Correct.
And now we've reached a point where the SUV is completely past all of your band members?
Correct.
I'm going to ask that we project for the witness only exhibit number 23.
Go ahead.
We're just going to play a few seconds at normal speed here without any audio. Pause. We're 5 seconds in. Do you recognize this video?
Yes, I do.
Did you see yourself in the video?
I did.
Does this video depict the same marching band in the same area of Main Street on November 21st?
It does.
I'd move exhibit 23 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any position, Mr. Brooks?
Objection.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 23 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We'll play this once through at normal speed with audio, please. At the tail end of that video, we saw a red SUV. Is that the SUV you've been talking about during your testimony?
That is, yes.
Okay. And can we go back to the beginning of that video? We'll turn the audio off. And we'll just play a few seconds here from the beginning. Pause. We are 2 seconds in. Do you see yourself on the screen?
I do.
So that's a touch screen in front of you. Would you mind drawing a circle around yourself?
Okay.
All right. So you are directly above the black shirt band banner.
Correct.
All right. And then we can clear that. All right. We did it already. Thank you. I'd ask that we put up for the witness only exhibit number 22, please.
Go ahead.
Just going to play a few seconds without any audio for the witness only. Pause. And we've stopped at 7 seconds. Do you recognize that video?
I do.
What does this video show?
This video also shows the car coming through as well, and different angle in terms of some of the students dispersing as well, some of them getting struck by the car.
And is this video also an accurate representation of what happened that day?
Yes, it is.
Move exhibit 22 into evidence and ask to publish.
Any, Mr. Brooks, any
Objection.
position?
Objection.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Exhibit 22 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
We're going to play this in its entirety. It's 32 seconds long with the audio.
Why he
Did you
make
see
that
yourself in that
face?
video?
I did.
See how crazy his facial expression got?
Let's go back to the beginning, please, and set it to play at 50% speed. And we'll turn the audio off this time. And we'll play from the beginning.
Coming up with some weird
Please
questions
pause.
for his cross-exam.
We've paused at 9 seconds. Can you use the screen in front of you and circle yourself if you see yourself? Can we clear that, please? And we'll resume at the 9-second mark. Pause. We've paused at 21 seconds. You testified earlier that you initially ran towards the vehicle as it was driving away, is that right?
Correct.
Do we see you do that in this portion of the video?
Yes.
If you see yourself, can you circle yourself on the screen? So you're in the bottom right-hand corner. Is that a yes?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. We can take that down. Did you see that red SUV stop at any point?
No.
As you were in real time remembering the events of that day, do you recall seeing any of your students getting hit?
I did not see any of my students get hit, only of the group in front of me. I just saw, like I said, things flying because they were in the formation. It came through the middle.
In the immediate aftermath, after the vehicle had gone through and after you had run after it briefly, did you have any personal interaction with any of your students who had been hit?
I did. There were several on the ground, and they were surrounded by other bystanders who stepped in. So I just basically was circulating on the ground between the students who were injured, and then the students had run away to several shops in the area. And so I was just, it probably was an hour, it felt like. I don't really know how much time it was exactly, but rotating between the students who were injured as we were waiting for first responders, as well as checking on the students and trying to at least keep the kids who were not injured in a space where we knew where they were, so we could safely get them home once all of our injured students had been picked up by first responders.
Do you know whether any of those students that you had personal interaction with had to be transported to the hospital?
There were several students that had to be taken to the hospital.
Do you know in general the nature of some of those injuries?
There was many broken bones, a lot of, there was internal bleeding, dental work that needed to be done, lots of stitches, cuts, abrasions, sprains, torn ligaments.
Did you remain in your capacity as the Waukesha South marching band director for the remainder of that academic year?
I did.
You eventually went back to school after that Sunday, the 21st, is that right?
That is correct. So we went back to school once we were assured that we had as many students that were still left in the area back to get them on the bus back to school.
You're talking about that night, Sunday
That
the
evening,
21st?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
And in the days that followed, kids
Yes.
came back to school,
They did, yes.
and you had personal interaction with the members of your marching band?
Yes, I did.
Your objections noted, it's overruled.
Can we please put Exhibit 21 back up?
I
on the
didn't
screen?
even hear him object.
And this has previously been admitted, it's the diagram. I'd ask that we put it up for the jury as well.
Go ahead.
Based on your own observations that day, your interaction with the students in the immediate aftermath, and your review of the video evidence here today in court, how many of those 10 members of your marching band were either struck or run over by the red SUV?
They all were.
Can you tell us whether or not you got a good look at the driver that day?
I did from the profile.
Approximately how many feet would you estimate you were from the driver at his closest?
Probably 2 feet.
You were still in the street at that point,
Correct.
and the SUV was too?
Yes.
We saw in the video what the lighting conditions were, but could you describe from your own memory what the lighting was like that day?
Overruled. You may answer.
The lights were beginning, the sun was beginning to set. However, we were in an area where we were by lots of stores, so the sun was still out, as well as the light coming from all the storefronts.
Could we project on the screen for the witness only, exhibit number 120? Do you see an image on the screen in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Is that image an accurate representation of what the driver of the SUV looked like that day when you saw him?
Completely, yes.
I'd move exhibit 120 into evidence and ask to publish.
120 is received. Permission to publish is granted. May have been received earlier.
Yeah, it's already been received.
That is so crazy. Every time I see this picture, it's more shocking, like every time. Like, he really just has this, like, dead expression in his face, just looking forward.
I believe you testified a little bit earlier about the driver's demeanor as you observed him. Could you go into more detail about that?
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled. She may answer.
So originally my perception just had been that I assumed there was an accident because I could not imagine anything else. But when the car went past me, my perception changed of what was happening completely, because the driver was looking straight ahead, looked very attentive at that point. So the driver clearly was aware that he had hit and run over all of these people. It was not something that could have happened without the driver's awareness. We were also coming up on an intersection of a cross street, and although there was a crowd on the side, again, this is just my perception, but if the driver had been trying to escape the parade route so they were no longer hitting people, I felt like an instinct would have caused the head to turn to see if there was a way out on that side street. But the driver's head never turned looking for a way out of the parade route at that moment, and that's what caused my perception of what was going on that day to change.
That's actually a really good observation, and it's something I didn't even think about. You know, that's really smart as a witness. So she said that when she saw him, she didn't see his head turning or looking around anywhere for like an escape off the parade route, which, like, that does show that he had the intent of driving straight through and just causing as much carnage as he could.
The street that runs in front of the Martha Merrill bookstore.
Correct.
Jasper Street.
Jasper Street.
And again, just to clarify, when we look at exhibit number 120 here, the person in white, is that a member of your band?
Yes, that is. That is one of the student conductors.
And then the person in the foreground on the right with a blurry face, is that another? I don't know if you know who it is, but can you tell us if that's a member of your band?
That is a member of our band, yes.
Okay. That's all the questions I have for this witness. Thank you.
All right, court's going to take a break before we do cross-exam. Take our afternoon break for about 15 minutes. All rise for the jury, please. All right, we are back on the record. Appearances are as they were before. We'll bring the jury out for cross. Go ahead.
For that, Your Honor, can we address the subject matter jurisdiction, please?
No, not right now.
Is that a judicial determination, Your Honor?
I'm glad she's just ignoring him now. Like, it's a tactic that's getting pretty old, you know what I'm saying? But I know he's gonna keep asking it, so. And I apologize, guys, if like my videos are coming out a bit slower than they usually are, or that I'm producing them a bit slower. I actually injured my neck, and so I'm trying to like get some movement back in it and stuff like that. It does this every once in a while. I heard it some years back, so I'm just trying to like get some rest and everything. But the videos are still coming, so don't even worry about that part.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness? Go ahead.
I'm getting psyched up for it.
The evening of November 21st, 2021, do you recall what officer conducted your interview?
I do not recall.
Can you recall if it was a detective or just a regular officer?
I do not recall.
What are you gonna do now? How's he gonna
You
pivot?
mentioned earlier in testimony that that there was a side street where there could have been an exit out of the parade route
Correct.
provided. Is that fair to say?
That is fair to say, yes.
Do you recall if that side street was barricaded in any way?
I do not recall.
Do you recall if there was another side street on the opposite side of the street?
The other side of the street has a plaza, so there's an open space, but it's not a traffic, for car traffic street.
Do you recall what that street would be used for if not for traffic?
It's an open space where people who have been on the shops on Main Street can go down to the Riverwalk.
Do you know if cars can park there?
They may not.
So it's basically like just a walkway.
Correct.
From what you recall, can you estimate the speed of the vehicle that you saw that day?
I'm not good at estimating speeds, but it felt fast as it went past me. It felt like it was accelerating.
And you stated you was relatively close to the vehicle when it passed you?
Yes, I was.
Were you injured in any way?
I was not. Fortunately, I moved just in time.
Do you recall if anybody that may have been directly next to you was injured in any way?
They were not.
So would it be fair to say that everyone in your immediate area was not struck?
Depends on how you want to define immediate, but the first 4 rows of the band, no one was struck because at that point everyone had run away.
I was referring to, I guess I wasn't clear enough on immediate. I was referring to directly next to you.
Directly next to me, no.
Were you able to get a license plate number of the vehicle?
I was not.
Did you notice any tinted windows to the vehicle?
It's 11 months ago, but I believe there were in the back, but I don't want to say yes or no for sure on that.
Did you see anyone else in the vehicle?
I did not.
Could you see the back seats of the vehicle?
I did not look at the back seats.
Could you see the passenger seat of the vehicle?
I could.
Do you recall anyone being in the passenger
I
seat?
did not see anyone in the passenger seat.
Did you initially hear any sounds before you realized that something was wrong?
The band had just started playing, and so I was concentrating and listening to the sounds of the band, and then all of a sudden it was just the sound of chaos as the car came through the band.
So it would be fair to say that it was pretty loud.
Where I was at that moment, yes, because I was directly in the middle of the band.
Would you say extremely loud or moderately loud?
I would say moderately loud, and as the band director, my job was listening to the sound of the band, and so I could give the students feedback when we got back to school. So that's where my focus was.
From your estimation, do you think it would have, the sounds from the band and the people and just the parade itself, would that at any time impaired you from hearing everything that was going on?
Everything, likely, but for example, like it would have still been, it wasn't so loud I would have heard a car horn. That I would have been able to hear.
I wasn't referring to that.
Okay, I was just asking because you were asking volumes, and so I couldn't have heard everything. I couldn't have heard something soft, but something that loud as an example.
I'm so glad she went ahead and said that.
So just to be clear, from your opinion, you think you would have been able to hear a horn?
I believe I would have.
Even at the same time listening for the band notes, as you say, you have to give them feedback when you got back to school?
That's
Because that
exactly
would have been
right.
an unexpected sound, so that would have been something that would have stood out in my memory.
It would have been something that draws your attention.
Exactly.
I'm so glad she specified too. She said like, oh, I wouldn't have heard like a horn, for example, because you know this is what he's getting at. You know this is the angle he's getting at.
So in your opinion, do you estimate it would have been hard to hear any screaming or anything of that nature?
We started, as soon as the screaming started, we did hear that immediately. Because as soon as the screaming started, the students stopped playing, and so that loudness.
1 second.
I'm sorry.
Do you recall how long you had been actively participating in the parade at the time of the incident?
That had been my first year back as the director of band for a while, but I marched in that parade in high school myself. So I've attended on the years that I was not teaching, so it's probably my 40th time plus at that parade.
I think you probably misunderstood.
Okay.
Well, that was still. I don't have to ask that question. I was referring to how long you had been marching at
that time.
At that point in.
Probably. Blocks all change size pretty quickly in Waukesha, but we had been going for about 4 blocks. We were about at the halfway point of the parade route.
Did you notice anything amiss up until that point?
Up until that point, no.
Did you hear any law enforcement radios that may have alerted you to
No.
something being wrong?
No.
So it'd be fair to say, as far as you know, everything was pretty much standard.
Up until the moment, yes.
You stated in your report that you were walking backwards facing the students.
No, I was walking forward because the students near me were walking backwards. So I was the eyes in front for the students who were marching backwards.
So is it possible the report could have misquoted what you said?
I have not seen the report.
The report that I have would be page 2.
I don't have that in front of me.
Would you like to see it?
Sure.
These witnesses are doing an incredible job of, like, every time he thinks he's making a small bit of progress, they just slap it out of the air, like, because it's pretty easy to tell the things that he's trying to get at, and so it's really great every time when he thinks he's getting somewhere. They're like, no, it can't be that either. Like the car horn.
I was facing forward, and then as soon as I heard sounds, I turned around and started facing backwards at that time to see what was happening. So my direction of movement until the incident started was forward, and then once I heard unexpected sounds coming from the back of the van, then I turned around.
Do you recall the statement that's in the report, though? She stated that she was walking backwards facing the students. Do you recall that?
I do not. I guess I recall, yes, I must have. I don't recall this exact moment. I've spoken to lots of officers.
Do you recall thinking that the SUV was driving right at you?
It felt like it for a moment, yes.
And you stated that you initially started to chase after the vehicle, but briefly, but then stopped.
That was my instinct at the moment because I don't know why. That was my instinct at the moment.
Mr. Brooks, are you done with the statement?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Wanted to stop him.
No problem. I think you know.
I'm telling you, these are some strong witnesses, man. She chased after the car after it went past her.
Would it be fair to say that the unexpectedness of the event may have clouded everything that you recall about the event?
I think there's certain aspects of the event that I have great clarity for because it was such a life-changing thing. There are certain moments that are very clear in my memory. And then there's other aspects that maybe other people noticed that maybe 11 months later that are less clear because some of the other more graphic details are so strong in my memory.
It would be fair to say, though, that, or would it be, rather, I'm sorry about that, would it be fair to say that you don't recall everything from that November 21st evening?
That would be accurate.
To your recollection, would you have left out any details in your report?
No.
I'm waiting for the claim question. Do you have a claim to this?
Were you able to see any license plate number on the vehicle?
I was not.
Do you recall about how far you initially had the reaction to chase after the vehicle, but then turn back to your students?
It was just a few steps.
Do you recall exactly where you were at
I was
in the parade?
in terms of the order of the parade.
In terms of what intersections you may have been at?
I was personally right outside of Martha Merrill's bookstore.
From the video footage, there were clearly a lot of spectators or people that weren't actively involved in the parade.
Yes.
Did you at any time see any of the spectators struck?
I did not.
After the incident, did you see any news reports about the incident?
I did.
Did any news reports that you saw jog anything to your memory?
Not especially. Maybe just showed different things that happened that evening in different parts of Main Street where I wasn't, but nothing changed my recollections of the South Band experience.
So it would be fair to say that what was reported on the news, you kind of pretty much already knew?
Correct.
Did you recall the news reporting how many people may have been hurt?
Yes.
Now I'm at a spot again. I don't understand where these questions, like what he's trying to get at now.
From which you recall and observed, do you think that those said news reports were accurate? Grounds.
Sustained. It's not relevant.
About how long did you stay at the parade after the incident?
I did not have my watch with me that evening, but we were there for quite a while because the students had scattered, and so it took us a while, as well as waiting to make sure all the students that were injured were taken by first responders. And they were overwhelmed, so it took a while for first responders to get to everyone.
So it would be fair to say that by the time you actually left, it was nightfall.
That is correct.
Do you recall the power going out?
That did not happen till we were back at the high school.
So you had already left
Correct.
the parade route by the time there was no power.
Correct.
Man, what a crazy day, man. A crazy night. Like, that happens with him driving through the parade route, then you get back to the school, the power is out. Like, that's
Do you recall what time you
insane.
I don't recall. It would be in the bus company records, but
No further questions.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Just some brief clarification, and then I'd like to show one video, Your Honor, if that's all right. There were a few mentions during cross-examination about your report, in quotation marks.
yes.
You didn't actually sit down and type up a police report after the parade, did you?
No, I did not.
Irrelevant.
Overruled. She may answer. Can you state your answer again?
I did not.
If there is an objection, let me roll
Oh, I'm
first.
sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. You met with police officers after the fact and provided interviews, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And then Do you know whether they wrote police reports summarizing those statements?
If they did, I did not see those.
Okay. I would like to play for you
Very smart to clear that up.
exhibit number 22 one more time. And I'd like to play it for the jury as well, Your Honor, if that's all right.
Because I believe, like, Darrell is either trying to make it seem as if it's...
Video numerous times at this point.
Are you going to
Okay.
play the whole thing? Or parts of it?
The witness was asked about whether she heard a horn honking, and so I'm simply going to
She was
play.
not asked if she heard a horn honking. She was asked, did the sound of the parade...
I recall what was asked. I'm sorry, tell me again why you want the jury to see this and the question? Because she was not asked specifically about a horn. She offered something.
In response to a question about what she heard. I simply want to play this video to see if the witness can hear the sound of a horn honking.
Objection. What's the relevancy at this point? She never was asked the question, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection.
Okay, I don't have anything else for this witness. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
It always catches me off guard when he makes an objection that actually works. It was smart for the prosecution to clear that up because Darrell is trying to make it seem as if it's like a transcription of the exact words of this witness, or like she stood in front of them and she was like giving her side of the story and they were just word for word writing down what she said. But that's not the case. A lot of times they just take a general statement of what these people are saying, when he's constantly trying to like frame this as if it's like a direct, like they say it and then the exact words are written, when it's really the officer or the detective, you know, it's their discretion to write it as, you know, however they please. Now, I'm sure they're being as accurate as they really can, but yeah, I'm just glad that they clear that stuff up each time he tries to pull that rabbit out of the hat.
Your next witness, please.
Your Honor, the state calls Kyle Jewell.
And someone mentioned that they were surprised that he didn't plead like insane or anything like that. I was honestly surprised by that too, that he never tried that at any point.
Good afternoon, sir. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is to my right, upper riser. When you get there, please remain standing.
All right.
Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Let's see who is testifying next.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Kyle Jewell, KYLE, JEWELL.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Jewell.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Jewell, on the day of November 21, 2021, did you attend the Waukesha Christmas parade in downtown Waukesha?
Yes.
Did you come with friends and family members?
Yes, with family.
About how many people were in your group, sir?
Probably 7 or 9. I would have to count them
That's
to really
okay.
get the accurate number.
Okay. And where did you set up along the parade route to watch the festivities?
Yeah, so we were right in between those new apartments and Alo Chocolate. I don't know what road it was next to.
Okay. And so you were right on Main Street, correct?
Yeah.
And new apartments are like 4 or 5 stories high, is that right?
Yep, right next to Alo Chocolate.
Okay, and on the north side of the road that would be?
Correct.
Okay. As you were sitting there, what do you recall happening, sir?
Yeah, so we were watching the parade. Had a bunch of kids in front of us, my kids, some other family. members, and at one point, you know, we had I believe it was the Remax hot air balloon truck coming to the left of us, and then we start hearing just some people yelling, "Stop that car!" And the next thing you know, from my left, going down the road, you see a red SUV just go straight through the parade. And where we were sitting at that time was the Waukesha South's band, and just drove right through Waukesha South's band, and just continued going.
Did you see any people being struck by the SUV?
Yes.
Did you see any objects flying in the air?
I didn't see any objects flying in the air. I saw the red SUV going over people.
Okay, can you describe that for us, please?
Yeah, so the band had just passed us, red SUV going, again, this is just an estimate, maybe 30, 40 miles an hour, just went straight over the Waukesha South band, and it's not like it stopped. I mean, it went over. I saw the red SUV. It looked like it went in the air, like over a pretty big object, and it just was like a big old speed bump and kept going.
Okay. You saw that from your position on the side of the road?
Yes.
At some point, did you get up and leave your position?
I did. So when the red SUV had pretty much gone through the band, my reaction was to run after the car, and honestly was trying to get into it to stop it. That was just my perspective on it.
Okay.
I did not get into the SUV.
Were you able to catch it?
No. It drove off at a pretty quick speed after it went through the band.
And you were running on foot?
Correct.
Okay. Prior to the SUV hitting the students in the band, did you hear the horn on the vehicle honking at all?
I did not.
As the vehicle struck students in the band, did you ever see the vehicle stop?
I did not. It would have slowed down a little bit as it hit people, but it did not slow down when it hit the band and then when it drove off.
Okay. I'd like to put up exhibit number 25, please, for the witness. Go ahead. And is there anything on your screen in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Is this 25? Okay. And you see the video that's showing on your screen in front of you, sir?
Yes.
Is this a video that you've seen before?
Yes, it is.
And do you believe this is a true and accurate representation of the events as you saw them on November 21 of 2021?
Yes.
I'd like to admit number 25 and permission to play it for the jury.
Anything, Mr. Brooks?
Objection is hearsay. How is everybody seeing the videos before seeing them now?
You can ask that on cross-exam, sir. But the foundation has been laid and exhibit 25 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
All right, we're going to put it up, and then before we play anything, I'd ask if you could point out for the jury the approximate area where you and your family were stationed.
How do you want me to do that?
That's a touch screen in front of you. That's a good question.
Oh.
You can either circle or mark with an X, or there's a dot you can put there, whatever.
Yeah.
Just the general area where you were standing.
Somewhere over here.
Okay. And you remember seeing the parade approaching then from your left?
Yes.
I'm sorry, the band, excuse me.
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go ahead and play this with volume, please. Pause. Okay, we paused at the 41-second mark. When do you first recall seeing that red SUV? Was it about this point or was it back further?
Pretty much right when it rounded the Remax van.
Okay. And then do you remember seeing it come around the left side of the Remax van and then veer to the right in front of the Remax van?
Yes.
And now it's headed in the direction of where you and your family are?
Correct.
Do you remember that, sir?
Yes.
What were you thinking during this?
Really, what's going on? Normally, you don't see a vehicle going that quick down a parade route.
Okay. Go ahead and continue playing, please.
Man, if it is this tough to hear this, because just hearing the screams and everything, it sounds...
Okay, I'm gonna,
It sounds the way
ask-
I'm
we're gonna
sure
play
it
again
looks,
a
like
little bit
pure
slower, and I
chaos.
want you to point out the
I
point
can't
where
imagine
you
what the video looks
yourself
like.
Get up and run after the red SUV, okay?
Okay.
Before you have him do that, for the record, how long is this video?
Thank you, Judge. The video is exactly 1 minute in duration.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So play it at half speed, please. No sound, because with half speed, the sound is annoying.
But these witnesses have a lot of courage to come up here, because after, seeing this kind of stuff, even this dude, he wasn't directly impacted by the SUV, but even still, it's like, to see something like that, he just described seeing the SUV run over people as if they were speed bumps. And so to like get up here on the stand and to actually talk about that and like relive it in your mind, which I'm sure he has, like, even in his own time, just thought about that, like, wow, I saw some dark stuff like that, like, it's insane. Like, all of these people have a tremendous amount of courage, man. What direction is it coming up from? Oh my God, man. That is just the wildest thing.
You can pause it right there.
Okay, we're paused at the 48-second mark. You see yourself, sir?
I do.
Where are you?
You want me to circle it?
Circle it. You've just run out into the middle of the street, is that right? Or towards the middle of the street?
Yes.
Where were you going?
Chasing after the car.
What were you going to do if you caught it?
Wanted to stop it.
Try and stop it.
Yep.
You described on your direct testimony the seeing the car look like it was going over speed bumps, is that right?
Yes.
Is that what's shown in this exhibit number 25?
Yes.
In fact, it was going over people, not speed bumps.
Correct. Yes.
Keep playing. I want to see where you go. And we played it to the end just for the record. You never were able to catch up.
No.
But towards the end of that video, you're off screen. We can't see you anymore.
Yes.
About how far down did you chase that SUV, sir?
It had to have been pretty far down the road. I don't have an exact that I can remember, but I ran for a pretty good amount of time. It wasn't quite to the 5 corners.
Okay.
But it was a pretty good distance.
And any point along the way, did you notice the SUV stop?
I did not, no.
Did you see the driver of the SUV get out and check on any of the people that he had just run over?
No.
Did you get a good look at the driver?
I didn't get a good look at the driver, no.
Okay.
That I can remember.
Sure. After you chased the SUV but were not able to catch it, did you make your way back towards your family?
I did.
Did you encounter injured people along the way?
Yes, many of them.
And were they mostly from the school band or others?
Mainly from the South's band.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any other questions, sir.
All right, thank you. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Cross-exam. Here we go.
Do you recall being interviewed by a Detective Carpenter on November 24th of 2021?
I do remember being interviewed by a detective, yes.
Any idea why it took a few days for you to be interviewed?
Just the nature of the incident. I'm sure they had a lot to get through. So I just wanted to wait a little bit, and it wasn't something that I was going to do. Yeah.
When you say it wasn't something that you was going to do, what are you referring to?
Just seek some counsel from some mentors. After talking with them, they had advised that I should make a statement.
So it would be fair to say that you didn't intend on making a report.
That is correct.
Can you explain why?
Just didn't feel comfortable with it.
Would it be fair to say that the events that you witnessed would make anyone want to make a report? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Do you recall about what time you arrived at the parade?
I do not.
Do you recall what time you left?
I do not.
You stated earlier that you were with family. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were you or any of your family members injured in the incident?
No.
I'm looking at the police report here.
Here he is. He's going to think it's like a verbatim
You did state that
report.
you didn't get a description of the driver, correct?
Yes.
Did you get a license plate number?
I did not.
Do you recall if there was any tint on the vehicle that you saw?
Not in the front, no.
What do you mean by not in the front?
I did not see any tint on the front windows or the passenger side window. From what I could remember, there was tint on the back windows.
So it would be fair to say that you couldn't see into the back of the vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall how many occupants were in the vehicle?
Yes.
Even though you couldn't see the entire inside of the vehicle?
Yes.
Do you recall saying in your report that, or saying in the report that was reported by Detective Carpenter, that, well, I'm going to read it what it says. He indicated that after the vehicle struck the south band, he chased it and got to within approximately an arm's reach of the vehicle. Do you recall that?
I do not.
Any reason why that would be reported?
A lot happening at that moment during that whole incident. very well this could have been what I had thought. And it does go out of frame, so I can't exactly remember what happens once the video and myself goes out of frame.
Do you recall being at arm's length from the vehicle?
I cannot remember right now, no.
At what point did you see the vehicle slow down?
As it went over Waukesha South's band.
And what did the vehicle do after that?
It sped up.
Do you recall describing the acceleration as rapid?
Yes.
Would you say that the video that we just saw depicts a rapid acceleration?
Yes.
Do you recall stating that it seems as if the driver of the vehicle was hitting the gas as hard as he could?
Yes.
And how would you be able to tell that?
The nature of a vehicle going over people, you would think that the gas pedal would not be pushed as you're going over people. And as the car continued, the red SUV continued over, went over the Waukesha South band and continued to accelerate, I could only imagine that the gas pedal was being pushed very hard after just going over people.
So you were making an assumption. Would that be fair to say?
I wouldn't say it was an assumption. Just from driving a vehicle, knowing what happens when you go over a large object, it typically slows the car down. And in order to speed it back up, the only thing that you can do is hit the gas pedal.
Right.
You can hit the gas pedal, or would you hit the gas pedal as hard as you could?
From what I remembered, it looked like the gas pedal was being hit hard. The vehicle accelerated very quickly.
Would it be fair to say that you would have to be present in the vehicle to tell if the gas pedal was pushed hard, extremely hard, as you say?
No.
Or as hard as you could?
No.
You would be able to tell that from an outside observation?
Yes.
I mean, anyone that drives a car, you know, I can tell exactly what he's saying. Whenever you go over a speed bump, it causes the car to slow down, and so you have to hit the gas. Of course, when it's just a speed bump, you don't like floor it, but you know, you just tap the gas to get over it and tap it again to get the back wheels to go over it. So I know what he's saying, but I guess Darrell is just trying to discredit, you know, the statement that he gave. Unsuccessfully.
Did you observe the route of the vehicle after, well, the video shows you kind of go off the screen, and did you observe where the vehicle went at that point?
Yes.
Did it continue straight, or did it turn?
Continue down the parade route.
Do you recall about how far?
No.
Do you recall seeing any brake lights?
No.
Even when it briefly slowed down?
That would be correct.
So would it be fair to say that in order to slow a vehicle down, you have to brake?
Not necessarily.
No. No, in your case, you hit a person, you hit people, which caused the car to slow down, which is
And what is the
freaking sick, bro.
Hitting something or going over something naturally
He's walking
slows
himself
it
into these
So how far would
statements.
you estimate that the vehicle was traveling before it slowed down?
I can't remember that.
Like, these questions he's asking are making it so much more worse. Because they have to answer and say the stuff they're saying, like, okay, the reason it slowed down, you hit a person.
Pull up the Exhibit 25 again. For the witness.
Go ahead. Do you want it to the jury or just to the witness?
To everybody.
Okay. There you go.
Is the sound up?
You want to play it all the way through?
Can you
or
play it from about 30 seconds?
Is that about right?
Yeah, that's about right.
The counter reads 29 seconds at this point, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Well, roughly around that area. Pause right there. From your perspective, is the sound that you just heard, could that have been a horn?
Could we replay it?
Are you able to answer just based on what you heard?
No.
You did state that you didn't hear any horn, correct?
Correct.
It would be fair to say that it was pretty loud at that point in the parade, correct?
Yeah.
Do you think the noise would have impaired your hearing in any way at that point in time?
No.
So it would be fair to say that you would have been able to hear anything coming towards your area where you were sitting, or anything that was coming towards your area from the band, from the parade, rather.
I don't understand your question.
Would you have heard, if there was anything unusually loud or just loud enough, would you have heard it from where you were seated at?
I don't know how to answer that.
Is it possible that a horn could have been beat that you didn't hear?
No, horns are pretty loud. It would have been heard.
Even over all the noise of the parade and the band and the people and you would have been able to clearly hear?
Asked and answered, man.
Yes.
Do you recall what you saw the driver doing at the time that it passed the area that you were seated at?
Driving the car.
Did you observe any other actions by the driver?
No. Just focused on the road that was ahead of him.
And there's nothing about the description that stood out to you or caught your eye that maybe you could recall?
In regards to what?
The description of the driver.
I could tell there was one person in the car. I could see it. They're wearing some sort of hat or sweatshirt. That was about it.
And after the vehicle passed where you were seated at, and about how long did you stay at the parade after what you saw?
I wouldn't be able to remember that.
Did you attempt to help anyone injured or check for your family here?
At that point, when I started running back, there were a lot of bodies on the ground. And from the looks of it, there was already people helping them. So my next reaction was get back to my family.
So with all the people that appeared to be injured, you didn't stop to render any aid to any one of them?
Objection, argumentative, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Sustained. Next question.
He's not a paramedic, so if he would have started to do anything to these people that he wasn't sure of, he possibly could have injured them even more. So the fact that he's even spitting that out is just the dumbest thing. But of course he said it, so there you go.
Was there anything else about the vehicle that stuck out to you?
No.
Did you see any news reports about the incident once you got your family home?
I did not.
Did you hear about it in the days after? Did you hear about anything related to the event in the days after? Well, leading up to your November 24th interview with Detective Carpenter?
I'm sure I had saw general things. We really did not watch the TV too much. There was just a lot of emotional stuff that we were just working through.
So it'd be fair to say you purposely didn't watch news reports
Yes.
that were related to the incident?
We don't really watch news to begin with, but this just kind of made that a little bit more, that we didn't turn the TV on, so we did not watch much news.
So at any time, did you see any mug shot or any type of pictures related to this suspected driver?
I did not know.
At any time, do you recall hearing the name of the alleged defendant or suspect?
At some point in time, yes, I did hear the name.
Was that really quickly after the incident, or had it been some time that passed before you heard that?
There was a little bit of time that had passed before I heard it.
And you yourself didn't file a claim in this matter, did you?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
If you can be a little more specific, if you mean a claim related to any, related to the parade.
Did you make a claim of being an injured party, or did anybody in your family make a claim of being an injured party?
No.
You made reference to seeing the Exhibit 25 video before your testimony today, correct?
Could you say that again?
You made reference earlier that you had saw the video that was shown before you testified today, correct?
Yes.
About how many times have you saw the video before today?
Once.
So today was your second time seeing the same video?
Correct.
Is there anything that brought back or help you recall anything that you may have missed when you did your initial report? Seeing the video for a second time?
Could you ask that once more?
Seeing the video just now for the second time, did it bring back any memory that you may have not reported before, or did it bring back something that you may have missed, overlooked?
Not that I know of or remember, no.
Were you aware that you might be called to testify in this matter?
Yes.
So it'd be fair to say that you were anticipating being a witness?
No.
Whom were you contacted by about being a witness in this matter?
I wouldn't know. The Waukesha District Attorney.
Let the record reflect that the witness made a hand gesture towards the prosecution table.
Yes.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you.
So it would be fair to say that you were contacted about testifying in this matter directly from the Waukesha District Attorney's Office?
Yes.
Do you know who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Objection, irrelevant.
Grounds.
Not relevant, sustained. Next question.
Are you aware of any injured party or plaintiff in this matter?
I am not.
You are not?
That's correct.
Have you read or seen any complaint besides your own in this matter?
You mean a statement, or do you mean a criminal complaint?
A complaint, any complaint.
Object to vagueness and relevance.
Grounds.
Sustained. You can try to rephrase that if you would like. I'm sustaining it as to the form of the question, sir.
Have you seen any other statements by any parties other than yourself in relation to this incident?
No.
Are you the only person present from your family that made a statement or a report?
Objection, relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled.
His family was there.
Overruled. He may answer if anyone else in his family provided a statement.
No, they did not.
You stated earlier that it was difficult. Well, you stated that you don't really watch the news to begin with, but the incident made it more difficult to do that, correct?
A little bit, yes.
Would that be said of your family as well?
Yes.
So there was some type of impact.
In regards to what?
In regards to being present at the parade?
Yes, there was a huge emotional impact on our family.
Do you know of any reason why no one besides yourself made a report?
Objection, argumentative.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Sustained.
Grounds.
Next question.
So as far as you know, you've never seen or interacted with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Irrelevant.
Grounds.
Sustained. Under 906.11, new topic, please. One not already covered.
Above 906.11.
Do you recall the motion of the vehicle as it passed where you were seated?
The motion of the vehicle.
Withdraw the objection. He clarified at what location he was referring to.
Thank you.
In regards to what motion?
How the vehicle was moving, driving?
Where I was sitting, it would have been my left side, and the car was approaching from my left side, driving. I don't know north, south, east, all that stuff, but red SUV on my left proceeded to go through on my right down Main Street.
From where you were seated, were you seated to where there were people standing in front of where you were seated?
Yes. My family.
Anybody else besides your family?
Nope, just my family.
It would be fair to say from the video that there were quite a few people standing in the general area where you were seated at. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, most of the people in front of me were kids, so they were littler than me.
Did you observe any one of those kids being struck?
No.
So it'd be fair to say that the vehicle did not strike anybody that was seated on the curb right there where you were at?
Specifically right where I was at?
He
No.
just answered it. Getting stuck in one spot again.
In your opinion, after observing people struck, in your opinion, how did the vehicle miss the people that were seated directly in front of you?
Objection beyond the
Grounds.
scope of beyond the scope of
Grounds.
knowledge and irrelevant.
Grounds.
Mr. Brooks, let her state her objection without interruption. The objection is sustained. Next question.
So would it be fair to say that the only people you observed being struck was the Waukesha South Band?
Yes.
Approximately how many people would you say by estimate?
Right now I can't remember. It would be a handful.
Would it be fair to say that there were hundreds, even thousands of people present for the parade?
Yes.
And you have only observed a handful of people struck?
Waukesha South band is a pretty large band, and the red SUV went right through it. If I had to estimate 10, maybe 15, I wouldn't know the exact number that were struck by the SUV.
Would it be fair to say that that number is fairly low to all the people that was in the area at the time?
Objection argumentative, Your Honor.
Grounds.
Wow.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
Wow, so he's basically saying, hey, look, it could have been more people, you know. It was just a small amount. So why am I even here right now, right? Like,
Mr. Brooks, next question.
let me go.
Next question.
I mean, come on.
Rephrase.
No, I sustained it. You can ask your next
It's just
question.
a handful compared to thousands of people. Like, why am I here? Despicable. We're getting a peek into his mindset, though. You see how he thinks?
Would you identify yourself as an injured party in this matter?
Objection asked and answered.
Grounds.
Sustained.
You've
Would you
asked all.
identify as an injured party in this matter?
Objection.
Grounds.
Sustained. Asked and answered. Mr. Brooks, under 90611, that was also not a question I would allow to be asked. Please move on.
No further questions.
May I redirect?
Just very briefly, I'm going to ask the clerk to please turn the monitors back on, Exhibit 25. Mr. Brooks had previously asked this to be paused. It's paused at the 37-second mark. And
I do not recognize that name, nor do I consent to being called by it.
Your objection is noted. Go ahead, Attorney Opper.
I'm going to ask Ms. Gussie to please continue playing it starting at the 37-second mark. And then I'm going to ask you to pause.
Objection, what is the relevancy of it being played from the 37-second mark?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Was that with or without sound?
With sound is fine. Yes, please, sound.
Go ahead.
Pause. We're stopped at the 42-second mark. Mr. Jewell, at this point, would you say the SUV is very close to you and your family?
Yes.
At this point, did you hear the SUV honking its horn in any manner?
No.
Would you say the SUV is very close to the vehicle in the middle of the road containing the Waukesha South mascot?
Yes.
Would you also say it's very close to the two people standing in the street, one wearing a Santa hat and the other, I think, is dressed like a lion or some type of character?
Yes.
Did you hear the horn honking at this location, sir?
No.
The band is already past you to your right down the street, correct?
Yes.
Was there any music being played from the Remax vehicle that you recall?
Not that I remember, no.
Just the hot air balloon?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Those are all my questions, and I'm stopping it at the 42-second mark, Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, you may step down.
Could Mr. Jewell please be excused, Your Honor?
He may.
But hey, the one thing I will say, I'm starting to notice.
Discussion outside the presence of the jury before our next witness, Your Honor.
Okay, very well. I'll excuse the jury. I'll rise for the jury.
I'm starting to notice that Darrell, like, his confidence is building when it comes to questioning the witnesses. You know, you can tell he's learning as the days are going on, which is definitely something I'm starting to see. You know, the way he's setting it up, even though it's still like one-dimensional to a certain degree, he's starting to expand ever so slightly. Like outside of the, you know, do you have a claim in this matter, or like I'm starting to pick up on what he's trying to do, at least. That's really the only thing I can give him credit for. Everything else, the questions make no sense. It's all the same stuff pretty much, but he's trying something, so.
All right, go ahead, Attorney Offer.
Actually, I'll cover this, Judge.
Very well, go ahead.
The next witness is Thomas Green. This is the witness that we previously raised the issue about having one prior criminal conviction. It's from 2005. A CCAP printout was provided to the defendant for the misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. The offense date is from 17 years ago. The witness was 21 years old at that time. He's now 38, has no other intervening criminal convictions, was not originally a crime of deception. I believe that it's not relevant for purposes of impeachment. I'd ask the court to exclude that conviction from this witness's testimony.
Mr. Brooks, do you have a...
Wait, give me 1 second. I just want to... Who are they referring to?
Offer?
Hold on. I just want to understand here. Is this about a witness? Or are they
Go ahead, Attorney Offer.
Actually, I'll cover this, Judge.
Very well, go ahead.
The next witness is Thomas Green. This is the witness that we previously raised the issue about having one prior criminal conviction. It's from 2005. A CCAP printout was provided to the defendant for the misdemeanor offense of criminal trespass. The offense date is from 17 years ago. The witness was 21 years old at that time. He's now 38, has no other intervening criminal convictions, was not originally a crime of deception. I believe that it's not relevant for purposes of impeachment. I'd ask the court to exclude that conviction from this witness's testimony.
Okay. So they're just discussing some of the prior criminal, I guess, incidents that one of the witnesses have dealt
Mr. Brooks,
with.
do you have a legal argument on that?
And I guess
Yes,
that
I
was
do.
something that... Hold on.
The main thing is
I'm looking them up too, by
this
the way.
issue wasn't really discussed to this length until it was time for this witness to be called to the stand.
Well, that's when I said I would take it up, is prior to that witness's testimony. I even gave you the statute that is at issue, and it's 906.09, impeachment by evidence of conviction of crime or adjudication of delinquency.
Here's
Pull
why.
the statute book out, and it's in there if you want to review it.
Oh no. It says it struck 2 of his children. Okay, so I just pulled up. I really shouldn't have done that. Like, I should have waited to find it out. But I just read that he actually struck 2 of this guy's children, Thomas Green's children. So this is going to be crazy.
But quickly, I'll give you an opportunity, but I do need to address this. And now is the proper time.
Who called for them as a witness? If it was him, that's insane.
6.09.
Let me not read anymore. That's so messed up, though, man.
There's a general rule in sub 1 and the exclusions under sub 2 and the factors for the court to consider in evaluating whether to admit evidence of a prior conviction for the purpose of attacking a witness's truthful character.
Is she referring to his line of questioning? He tries to do that a lot.
I see it.
Before I have you address it, let me ask the state this. How long do you anticipate your direct examination to be?
10 minutes.
All right, so someone we could and should be able to get through fairly quickly,
Yes.
both for direct and cross. All right, go ahead, Mr. Brooks. What's your argument?
I'm still. I wanted to make sure I heard what you said, so I stopped reading briefly. I guess I would, from what I've read so far, I would go to 906.09 sub 2. It would be kind of problematic, and I'll say that because if I was going to take the stand, my record would be brought up. And some things on my record was done 20-something years ago. But it would still have bearing. So I believe that it should be fair. It should be the same. I believe that if the witness knew that there was a possibility that they would give testimony and agreed to give testimony, then they also agreed that their credibility can be questioned. I think that's really a fundamental thing to be able to cross-examine on my part would be to see if they're credible, to see that they would honor their oath that they give in the court to be truthful. And part of being able to ask them questions like this pertaining to a criminal conviction would be relevant.
Yo, what a douchebag, man. He hit 2 of this dude's kids. And now he is going to ask him about his criminal history and say, okay, you know, you did some things in the past, so I hit 2 of your kids, but your credibility, you know, is in question here about if you would tell me the truth about that.
You do understand the inquiry is limited to the following. Have you been convicted of a crime? The answer I allow is yes. They would say yes. The follow-up would be, if so, how many times? And in this case, my understanding is there's just 1. Don't get into the specifics of it. That's not proper questioning for impeachment. Do you understand that?
I follow.
All right, let me hear from the state in response.
So again, looking at the factors under 90609 sub 2, just about every factor weighs in favor of not informing the jury of this conviction. We've got a conviction date of April 4th of 2006. So we've got, again, well over a decade before the conviction. We've got whether this witness was rehabilitated or pardoned. According to the CCAP records, there was a probation sentence and probation was discharged, so there's no indication that this witness was ever revoked from probation, and there's no re-offending evidence or any new cases or any new convictions. So that, again, that factor weighs in favor of not including this. Gravity of the crime, this is an entry into a locked building or construction site, contrary to 943.15 sub 1, so it's a misdemeanor offense, so that weighs in favor of not including it. It does not, on its face, involve any dishonesty or false statements by the witness. Frequency of the conviction, again, it's just the one. And in terms of any other relevant factors, as an offer of proof, I'll inform the court that this witness is going to testify about his and his family's presence near the Martha Merrill's bookstore on the day of the parade, the positioning of his children, and what he remembers in terms of the SUV driving along the parade route and clipping his two children who were seated on the curb watching the parade. There's 2 videos of the driving conduct in question. They are not they're not as clear as some of the videos we showed with the band. In fact, one of them is the video we showed with the band, and you can see spectators sitting on the side of the road. But in terms of impeaching the witness, I think Mr. Brooks should be fine just relying on the videos in asking the witness about that.
I object still. Entering into anything with is deceptive in nature. Just right off the bat, that's deceptive in nature. Why would you enter into something that you're obviously not supposed to be into? You entered into something because you were not supposed to be in there. That's deceptive in nature. It's also not enough information that would suggest that the probation wasn't discharged by revocation. It's not clear. And also, the prosecution just stated on record that they will only need about 10 minutes of testimony from this witness, but now they're talking about videos. That seems like it's going to be a little bit more than 10 minutes. I feel that I should be able to at least question the credibility of this witness at the very minimum.
Well, you would be able to question the credibility just through cross-examination, but let me get to the heart of this issue. And the general rule is as follows. For the purpose of attacking character for truthfulness, a witness may be asked whether the witness has ever been convicted of a crime or adjudicated delinquent, and the number of such convictions or adjudications. If the witness's answers are consistent with the previous determination of the court under sub 3, then no further inquiry may be made unless it is for the purpose of rehabilitating the witness's character for truthfulness. The sub 2 then of this statute talks about exclusion. It says evidence of a conviction of a crime or an adjudication of delinquency may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Factors for a court to consider in evaluating whether to admit evidence of prior convictions for the purpose of attacking a witness's truthful character include the lapse of time since the conviction, the rehabilitation or pardon of the person convicted, the gravity of the crime, the involvement of dishonesty or false statement in the crime, the frequency of the convictions, and any other relevant factors. So as I consider all of that, I would include in the any other relevant factors that this is a witness that has been brought to testify by the state against the accused. This conviction is for a misdemeanor offense of criminal, can I have the exact, I wrote down criminal trespass, but just want to make sure I have it accurate.
Yes, the statute in question is 943.15 sub 1. And it's listed on CCAP as an entry into / onto building / construction site / room.
All right, so a version of criminal trespass. All right. Apparently, the particular witness, this was 17 plus years ago. The witness was 21 years of age, was sentenced to probation. Nothing on the record before this court suggests that probation was revoked. I'm not aware of any reoffending, meaning that's the only conviction for this witness. This is a witness in this case who will apparently testify about where he was seated with his family in relation to the driving of the red SUV through the parade in front of Martha Merrill Bookstore. So clearly relevant to the case and the charges at hand. When looking at whether evidence of a conviction of a crime may be excluded, and specifically in this case, if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. I think sometimes we skip over that part of the statute, which is the standard this court must look at, not just the factors, but whether in light of those factors, is the probative value substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. As I commented on earlier, the nature of the inquiry is very limited. It's, have you been convicted of a crime? Yes or no? And then how many times? And in that case, it would be, in this case, it would be 1. In light of that, and the other factor that I noted, even though there's some factors that I could say would warrant exclusion, I think it's best to err on the side of caution, as we sometimes say, and allow the witness to be questioned about this prior conviction under the statute, and that is the very limited inquiry of have you been convicted of a crime? The answer should be yes, and then how many times? 1, and that's it. Mr. Brooks, you may ask a single follow-up on that is it true you've been convicted of 1 crime? But we're not going to spend a lot of time on that. That's going to be my caveat to all of this. You cannot ask repeated questions of this witness about that. The jury will further get instructed later on about the purpose of a prior conviction, that it bears solely on credibility, and then ultimately it's up to the jury to determine whether or what to believe. So that's my ruling on this. Now with that, it's now 4:15. Would you like the witness to testify today?
Yes.
All right. Any questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, I was just gonna say, what if I just wanted to, what if I didn't really want to go into it? What if I just wanted one question just to say, have you ever been convicted of a crime, and just left it at that?
That's fine. I'm sure the state's going to ask the questions first, though. That's typically how this goes. All right. Bring the jury out.
I just need a moment to...
Understood.
Every time he smiles,
Understood.
it just brings me so much discomfort. Man, this is gonna be a tough one. So I read online, so this dude was at the parade with his kids, I believe 2 kids, and they got grazed by the SUV. So I don't imagine he's gonna be too excited to speak to Darrell. That's all I'm saying. He's not gonna be too happy about this. And I'm ready to see how he's gonna answer his questions, because you know it's gonna be, this man is gonna be angry. Any parent would be.
everyone. Please be seated. Rick Howe, you may call your next witness.
State call Thomas Green.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Green. If you would please make your way to the witness stand, which is on my right, up a riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand. My clerk, Teresa, who's on my left, will swear you in.
This is not going to be a good one for Darrell.
The testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will have you do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
Thomas Green, Thomas Greene.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Mr. Green, what city or village do you live in?
The town of Merton.
Were you at the Waukesha Christmas Parade on November 21st of 2021?
Yes.
Who were you with at the parade?
I was with my wife and 3 children.
Okay. Do you remember
3 kids, okay.
where you were along the parade route?
I know I was across the street from a bookstore.
Okay. I'm going to ask that we project Exhibit 15 for everybody, please.
15. Go ahead.
And could we zoom in on the middle of the screen there? Down a little bit. Right there. Okay. Do you see your kids' names anywhere on that exhibit?
Yes, I do.
Could you, that's a touch screen in front of you. Could you circle them for me? Okay. Do you see the line connecting those names to an orange star?
Yes, I do.
And then can we zoom out 1 click, please? Do you recognize the neighborhood depicted in this map?
Kind of, yes.
Do you know what it is?
Downtown Waukesha.
Okay. Does that orange star with the line to your kids' names, does that accurately reflect where you were positioned along the parade route?
Yes.
Could we next pull up exhibit number 29, just for the witness?
Go ahead.
Do you see an image in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe for us what we're looking at?
We were looking at a intersection where me, my wife, and my kids were sitting during the parade.
Does this accurately depict the intersection, minus all the people, as it was set up on the afternoon of November 21st, 2021?
Yes.
Move exhibit 29 into evidence and ask for permission to publish.
Objection.
Overruled. Exhibit 29 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
Can we get rid of that side stuff? Could you use the touchscreen in front of you to draw a circle or an oval around the area where you and your family were standing? And can we please save this annotation as Exhibit 29A? And I would move that into the record, please.
29A will be saved and ultimately printed, and then it's received as well.
We could take that down then. Can you describe for us what happened, what you observed that afternoon as you were watching the Christmas parade?
Yes, we were just watching the Christmas parade as we normally do, go to lots of parades as a family. And I heard a loud crash noise to my right, and I looked that way, and then I seen a car running over the marching band, and as soon as the car had ran over the marching band, it swerved towards me and my family, and then just proceeded on down the parade route.
Down Main Street?
Yep.
Okay. Can you describe for us how you, your wife, and your children were positioned
We were facing the parade, straight on.
Where was your wife in relation to you?
To my left,
Were you standing or sitting?
standing.
Facing the parade route, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. Where were your kids in relation to you?
In front of me,
How many kids do you have?
3.
And which of the 3 kids were in front of you?
Charlie and Lily were in front of me, sitting on a bench,
Okay, what kind of bench?
fold-out bench.
How far away from you were they?
Maybe 3 feet.
If you wanted to reach out and touch them, could you have?
Yes.
How old was Charlie back in November of 2021?
Objection, irrelevant.
Overruled.
9.
And what about Lily? How old was she back then?
Objection, relevant.
Overruled.
11.
What happened as the vehicle that you described approached your family?
I'm getting agitated for him. Excuse me. I'm just thinking from his perspective, like if he's asking him questions about his kids, you should probably shut up and just let him ask it, you know? Like that would be so agitating to me.
Can you describe the direction of travel when you say swerve?
Like cardinal direction.
Or even left and right, however you can describe it.
I mean, we were.
He's a witness.
Overruled. He may answer the question.
We were facing the parade route, and it swerved towards us.
Okay.
And just for the record, he used his right hand in a gesture towards him, almost like a cupping motion towards him. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'm going to ask to display Exhibit 22 for the witness only.
Go ahead.
And we'll, can we start around the 12-second mark, please? I'm just going to play a few seconds for you to see if you can identify what's happening in the video, okay? So we'll, let's turn this, make sure the sound's off. It is. All right, let's play from 11 seconds. And pause at 19 seconds. Do you recognize that portion of the video you just watched?
Yes.
What does it show?
It shows where the SUV had ran over the band where I had first heard it coming, and then it's swerving towards my family.
So I would ask that we publish that portion of the video from 12 seconds to 19 seconds.
Go ahead.
Man.
And let's play that at a reduced speed of about 50%, please. No sound. Pause. We've paused at 21 seconds. Can you circle for us the area where you and your family were at this moment in time?
Objection, I thought it was being played till 19 seconds.
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. Go ahead, circle, sir.
And could we please have a saved screen grab of that and mark it as Exhibit 22A and move it into evidence?
22A is received. It will be marked and printed later.
Could we show for the witness only Exhibit 27, please?
Man, they showed him a video. I think they just showed him a video
See a video on your screen?
of when the car hit his kids.
We're going to play a few seconds.
Raised
and
his
let you
kids.
recognize
That's rough, man.
Paused at 5 seconds. Do you recognize that video?
Yes.
What does it show?
Looks like the SUV right after it ran into my kids.
Is that video an accurate depiction of how you saw the events unfold that afternoon?
Yes.
I move Exhibit 27 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection, hearsay.
Exhibit 27 is received, permission to publish is granted.
We'll play this once all the way through. It's 16 seconds. There's no audio. Okay, we can take that down. The area of that video that's relevant to you and your family would be the top left portion, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know whether your two kids were struck by the vehicle?
Yes, they were.
Okay. And that's consistent with where they were sitting along the curb?
Yes.
All right. I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Here we go. Here we go.
Go ahead, Mr. Brooks.
Don't say good morning.
You stated
Okay, smart.
all the videos you just saw were accurate depictions of what you observed that day, correct?
Yes.
Have you seen any of these videos before today?
No.
Oh my goodness, this is so rough, man. This is crazy. Like, he has to answer
Today's your
questions
first
for
time
this
seeing
dude.
Any of this footage?
Yes.
Mr. Green, have you ever been
And he's gonna ask
convicted
this.
of a crime?
Yes.
Do you remember what you did when the vehicle passed you?
Yes.
You state for the record what you did immediately following the vehicle passing you?
I ran to see if my kids were okay.
You stated that your wife was standing to your left. Do you recall what she did?
No, I don't.
Do you recall checking to see if your wife was okay?
No, I don't.
Do you recall getting a look at the driver of the vehicle?
Yes, I do.
And what did you see?
You.
I seen somebody in a hoodie with dark skin.
It was you.
Did you observe anyone else in the vehicle?
No, I did not.
Could you see the entire vehicle? Passenger seat and back seats?
I don't recall seeing anybody in the back seats. The windows were tinted.
So it would be fair to say if there was somebody seated in the back, you wouldn't have seen them.
I couldn't say.
Did you get a license plate number of the vehicle?
No, I did not.
From your opinion, about how fast would you say the vehicle was traveling?
Hard to say.
After the vehicle passed you, did you observe it strike anyone else?
No, I did not.
Were you injured during the incident in any way?
No, I was not.
Was your wife injured in any way during the incident?
No, she was not.
Well, according to Darrell's logic, if it's only just a couple people, then, you know, it's not too bad, right? I'm telling you, that shows how sick in the head this dude is. He even said something like that.
Do you recall about how long you were at the parade before the incident happened?
I do not.
Do you recall about how long you stayed after the incident?
No longer than 3 minutes.
So you got right out of there immediately after.
Yes.
Do you recall making a report of what happened at the incident?
No.
You don't recall talking to Officer Sepakan?
I did not talk to anybody at the incident.
You don't recall making any police report to what happened?
Not at the incident, no.
In the days following the incident, did you make any report?
Yes, I did.
Do you recall who the officer was that you reported the incident to?
No, I do not.
So earlier you said that you heard a crash to your right, which alerted you to the vehicle approaching. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Do you know what that crash was?
The vehicle hitting the band.
So before you heard that crash, you wasn't alerted to the presence of a vehicle approaching?
No, I was not.
Would it be fair to say that it was really loud during the parade at that time?
Yes.
Do you recall in the report that you made that you initially thought the vehicle was part of the parade and it was an accident?
Yes.
So it's fair to say from when you first saw the vehicle approaching that that's what you thought?
Yes.
Do you recall the vehicle swerving?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember what direction the vehicle swerved in?
To the left, towards me and my family.
And did it swerve away from your family at that point?
After it hit my family, yes.
Do you remember stating that you were not sure if the people being run over were part of the parade or guests watching the parade?
I do not recall making that statement, no.
Do you recall the make or model of the SUV?
No, I do not.
Do you recall the license plate number of the SUV?
No, I do not.
Do you remember stating that when you saw the SUV coming, you froze?
Yes.
And do you remember saying that you stared directly at it as it was driving towards you?
Yes.
And you didn't get an accurate description of the driver?
He just gave you
I
description.
already stated that I seen a tan-skinned person with a hood on.
You said dark skin.
Objection. That's not a question and argumentative.
Oh, is there a
Brown.
question, Mr. Brooks? You can't
Right,
testify, but
he's-
you can question him. So your last statement I'll strike.
Attorney.
Ask your question.
Did you not state earlier that you saw a dark skinned driver?
Yes.
And did you now just state that you saw a tan-skinned driver?
They both seem the same to me.
Would that be yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
So from your perspective, dark skin and tan skin is the same?
Objection.
Grounds.
Argumentative. Next question. You can rephrase.
No, just move
What
on.
would you consider to be dark skin?
Oh my goodness.
Grounds.
Overruled. You may answer.
It's hard to say.
What would you consider to be tan skin?
Darker than Caucasian, I guess.
Would it be fair to say that there is different types of shades of color to people? Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
He answered the question. His answer may stand.
He's trying to trip this dude up so bad on skin color.
Do you recall if the driver was doing anything, gesturing, or doing anything?
No.
Do you recall hearing gunshots?
No.
Any idea why that would be in the report?
Objection. Lacks
Grounds.
foundation.
Sustained as to the form of the question. It lacks foundation.
Do you recall stating that, well, let me read from the report. Thomas stated they heard gunshots and he picked up Charles and they ran back to their vehicle. Do you recall making that statement?
I recall an officer coming down the street yelling gunshots fired.
Any idea why you would be mistaken in your report that you heard the gunshots?
Objection. Mischaracterized.
He didn't type the report, so how would he?
Sustained. A lack of foundation as to the form of the question.
I'm reading directly from the report now.
He didn't write it.
Directly from the report.
That's not the issue, Mr. Brooks. The issue is it his statement or a summary of his statement? Because that makes a difference to the foundation you have to lay.
It does not say summary.
What?
I'll object if that was a question for the witness. If it was an argument with the court, I'll withdraw that objection.
I believe it was a statement to the court. I don't know what you're looking at, but if it's a witness statement, typically there's
How many
something signed. Sometimes police officers summarize what witnesses say to them, so that's what I'm referring to as a summary.
Right. How many times have we
If
reviewed
it's a
this already?
Summary, typically, if it's a direct attribution to a witness, it's in quotes.
This is like the second or third time.
This is not in quotes, so I'm gonna assume this is summary. Do you remember stating in your summary report that you heard gunshots?
No.
Do you recall if the injuries suffered by your family were broken bones?
They were not.
So were they bruises?
Yes.
About how long would you say that your family was treated at the hospital before being released?
Hard to say.
Was this a significant amount of time, a few hours?
A few hours, yes.
But But to your recollection, they were treated and then released.
Yes.
And who is Nicole?
My wife.
Do you recall Nicole making any statements to law enforcement?
She made one, yes.
Do you recall Nicole stating that she heard gunshots?
No, I do not.
Grounds.
Then an objection, it calls for hearsay, it's sustained. Any answer that he gave is struck. Jury shall disregard it.
Your Honor, I'm also reading this from the summary.
Question him about what he knows, not what other people said to him.
No, the question was, did he know? Do you recall her saying that she heard gunshots?
You're asking him to confirm hearsay, so it's sustained. Next question or rephrase. Like, are you aware?
Are you aware if she heard gunshots or not?
I'm not aware.
Is it fair to say that right after that you ran straight to your vehicle?
Right after what?
Right after the incident.
There was a slight delay.
And what was that delay?
Seeing if our kids were okay.
And then from that, straight to the vehicle.
After the officer came running down the street saying shots fired, we picked up our kids and ran.
So you decided to leave after you heard the officer saying shots fired, or because of the incident at the parade?
After the officer said shots fired.
So would it be fair to say that you weren't initially inclined to leave because of the incident, but because of the shots fired?
Objection.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer. And then move on.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Would it be fair to say that you were prompted to leave because of the shots fired and not the incident that happened at the parade?
I don't really understand what you're asking.
What prompted you to leave?
When the officer said shots fired.
So the incident that happened didn't prompt you to leave?
No.
Grounds.
Vague.
Overruled. He may answer if he understands the question.
We did not want to leave right away because my son said he couldn't feel his legs, and there was a woman there helping us that said he might have a back injury, that we should not move him.
To your recollection, was that woman a nurse or a medical professional?
I don't know.
Would it be fair to say that she was making an assumption?
I don't know.
Do you recall the woman's name?
No, I don't.
Do you recall if she was a spectator or someone marching or?
I don't know.
Do you recall the description of the woman that told you not to move your child?
I'll object. Relevance.
Grounds.
Overruled. He may answer.
Caucasian, blonde hair.
So it'd be fair to say she seemed pretty concerned.
Very concerned.
So why would you not immediately leave at that point?
Because I didn't know if he had a back injury or what the extent of his injuries were. And if it was a spinal injury, I didn't want to pick him up.
Did you try to make a call for medical attention at that point?
I did not.
And what prompted you not to seek medical attention you had a assumption that the injuries could be severe?
This all happened within about a 2-second time frame. I mean, it was so fast. Everything was chaotic, and I mean, there wasn't really time to do anything besides try to see if my kids were okay and try to compose myself to take care of them.
So it would be fair to say that you were pretty much like just frozen. You didn't know what to do and how to go about doing it.
Yes.
Do you recall your wife trying to call for medical attention?
No.
Do you recall anyone that you were standing next to or in front of attempting to call medical attention?
No.
Do you recall saying in the summarized report this statement? Thomas stated Charles was laying on his back and had blacked out.
To my recollection, yes.
You recall saying that to the officer?
I recall my son saying that.
Do you recall making that statement to the officer that interviewed you?
No, I do not.
Would it be fair to say that that is in the report because you may have said that to the officer?
Yes.
But you don't recall?
I do not.
Did you see any other children struck by the vehicle?
The band.
Any other children?
Small children?
Small children.
No, I do not.
But you do recall small children being present, correct?
Yes.
No further questions.
Can you redirect?
Thank you. You testified on cross-examination that you initially thought the vehicle was part of the parade and that it was an accident. Do you recall giving that testimony?
Yes.
Did you continue to think that it was an accident?
Objection. You're saying.
No, I did.
Hold on. Overruled. He may answer.
Once the vehicle kept going after hitting the band, I realized that it was not a part of the parade.
What about the vehicle's path of travel led you to that realization?
The speed that it had accelerated.
You recall testifying on cross-examination that you don't recall the make and model or license plate number of the SUV? Remember saying that?
Yes.
How many SUVs or vehicles in general did you see striking people during the parade route?
Objection. Irrelevant.
Overruled.
Just the one.
You testified that you've been convicted of a crime in the past. How many times?
Once.
You testified a little bit about the injuries that your two kids sustained. You had a third child with you at the parade, is that right?
Yes.
And was that third child injured in any way?
She was not.
Okay. Speaking about the two kids who were, do you recall in general what their injuries were?
My son had nerve damage to his knees, and my daughter just had severe bruising.
Do you know what part of their bodies, respectively, were struck?
My son was struck in the knees, and my daughter was struck in her hand.
Do you remember if it was the right knee or both knees, or the left knee?
It was both knees.
Oh, hold on. Objection is overruled. He may answer.
Once again, I'm getting angry for him. I need to calm down.
Can you repeat your answer?
Sipping my water.
And what about your daughter? Which hand?
Right hand?
And they were sitting facing the parade route?
Yes.
So what direction would the SUV have traveled from their perspective? Right to left or left to right or something different?
Right to left.
Okay. I think we're all set. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. You may step down.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, may we please excuse this witness?
You may.
Okay.
This will be our last
I gotta chill
witness
out.
today. I will have the instruction for the jury before I excuse you. Do not begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented and I have instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until your final deliberations in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic devices such as a mobile phone or computer, text or instant messaging, or social networking sites to send or receive any information about this case or your experience as a juror. If you come in contact with the parties, lawyers, interpreters, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, interpreters, and witnesses will not contact or speak with the jurors. Do not listen to any conversation about this case. Do not research any information that you personally think might be helpful to you in understanding the issues presented. Do not investigate this case on your own or visit the scene either in person or by any electronic means. Do not read any newspaper reports or listen to any news reports on radio, television, over the internet, or any other electronic application or tool about this trial. Do not consult dictionaries, computers, electronic applications, social media, the internet, or other reference materials for additional information. Do not seek information regarding the public records of any party or witness in this case. Any information you obtain outside the courtroom could be misleading, inaccurate, or incomplete. Relying on this information is unfair because the parties would not have the opportunity to refute, explain, or correct it. Do not communicate with anyone about this trial or your experience as a juror while you are serving on this jury. Do not use a computer, cell phone, or other electronic device, including personal wearable electronics applications or tools with communication capabilities, to share any information about this case. For example, do not communicate by telephone, blog post, email, text message, instant message, social media post, or in any other way on or off the computer. Do not permit anyone to communicate with you about this matter, either in person, electronically, or by any other means. If anyone does so despite your telling them not to, you should report that to me. I appreciate that it is tempting when you go home in the evening to discuss this case with another member of your household, but you may not do so. This case must be decided by you, the jurors, based on the evidence presented in this courtroom. People not serving on this jury have not heard the evidence, and it is improper for them to influence your deliberations and decision in this case. After the trial is completed, you are free to communicate with anyone in any manner. These rules are intended to assure that jurors remain impartial throughout the trial. If any juror has reason to believe that another juror has violated these rules, you should report that to me. If jurors do not comply with these rules, it could result in a new trial involving additional time and significant expense to the parties and the taxpayers. You are to decide the case solely on the evidence offered and received at trial. With that, you are excused for the evening. We'll see you tomorrow morning. All rise for the jury, please.
All right, day 3 was pretty eventful when it came to the cross-examinations, and we're seeing Darrell's cross-examination skills evolve, even though it's not by much. But yeah, I know I keep saying this, but how strong are these witnesses to be able to sit up here and like answer questions from the person that caused all this trauma? But I'm just glad everybody was able to come together to get this dude locked up, you know. But I do want to say, I hope you guys have a happy New Year's. I love this community, and I truly feel blessed to be able to have like a group like this. Like, I can come to you guys and put up the type of stuff that I like to look at, and that you guys enjoy it. Like, this is more than I ever dreamed of, to be honest. Thank you all. I'm looking forward to 2023. We're gonna amplify all the stuff that I'm doing. Like, I'm bringing way more content to the channel. I'm trying to come up with like a content schedule right now to see how exactly I'm gonna do this, but I think I got something. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you did something good for somebody today. Hope somebody did something good for you. And I'll see you guys next year. Peace.